Elite Facts presents
5 unique methods of brainwashing.
5.
Isolation. If you really want to crack a person's mind, isolation tends to be the best method. Some people thrive on the idea of being alone, but most of the time, being alone can drive us mad. Take the People's Temple religious group from 1977, for example. Leader Jim Jones moved this group of around 1,000 members to an isolated commune in Guyana. Some 400 kilometers of jungle, or 250 miles, separated them from the U.S. Embassy in the Guyanese capital of Georgetown. This severe isolation managed to help people in this cult lose focus on the values of the outside world. This in turn left Jones to instill his own terrifying leadership. Those who questioned Jones would either be put into induced comas, which that alone is pretty bad in and of itself, or he'd have a python wrapped around their neck. As for the kids, they had it just as bad. Kids who stepped out of line would be lowered down into wells to spend the night there. The cult's geographical isolation was thus paralleled by a mental one. Far from the influence of their friends and family in the USA, with brutal punishment awaiting them if they failed to conform. Just the idea that there's no one close by to come and save them is enough to switch their mentality from rebellious to obedient.
4.
Repetitive music. Don't worry, this isn't us just passing on some Disney villain's evil scheme to bring the good guy over to the dark side. This method of brainwash has a lot of validity to it, as studies have proven that if you play a repetitive beat constantly, and to be more specific for you, a beat that ranges anywhere between 55 to 72 beats per minute, you can induce an extremely hypnotic state. The reason that a specific musical beat has such a massive effect on someone is because that repetition is very close to the rhythm of the beat of the human heart. This rhythm can alter your consciousness until you've reached what is known as an alpha state, where you're 25 times more suggestible as you would be in a beta state. So yeah, if you're looking to get someone to do your bidding, just lock them in a room and play Easy Street by the Collapsible Hearts Club on repeat, and they should be good to go.
3.
Breaking someone's self-esteem. This one somewhat ties into isolation, but this doesn't strictly mean physical isolation. Don't know what we mean? Here's an example for you. School bullies. Once a bully has one student in the palm of their hands, that student is going to feel extremely isolated, as he or she may think there's no one there to help them. Sure, they can call for help, but in most cases that does tend to make the bully situation worse. Sorry, but it's the cold hard truth. It's because of this that the child's mind is making them feel socially isolated, thus allowing the bully to do with them as they please. Once that person has been broken down by either physical or mental isolation, that's when the manipulator can start rebuilding that person into the person they desire. Again, with bullies, that means they can trick the victim into thinking they're friends by having them act as a scapegoat for things they've done. Now, it must be said that a person can only be brainwashed if their manipulator is in a superior position to them. These attacks could be in the form of ridiculing or mocking the victim, or intimidation.
2.
Smothering someone with love. We know, very sappy, but when you think about it, this is actually the ultimate way of manipulation that's used by people to brainwash their friends and family. The idea behind this brainwash tactic is when the victim is drawn into the group by physical touching, sharing intimate thoughts, and emotional bonding, all through excessive affection and constant validation. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a group, as it could be someone just clinging closely to a close friend or relative, thus luring them into a false sense of security. Regardless of this, these are just a few ways in which a person can be brainwashed, and if you think it's easy to get them back into a normal state, you might be interested in one study by neuroscientist Kathleen Taylor. According to her, studies have revealed that the neural effects of brainwashed victims have a more rigid neural pathways than others. It's because of this that brainwashed people find it hard to rethink their situation once they've been brainwashed. In their head, the person doing the brainwashing is doing no harm, as they're so close in terms of their relationship, and they're too blind to see that they're being used for some other ulterior motive.
1.
Sleep deprivation and fatigue. So if you had to pick a time when you're most likely to make mistakes, when would it be? We'll tell you when you're sleep deprived and fatigued. Now, when's the best time for someone to take advantage of you? Again, when you're sleep deprived and fatigued. A combination of sensory overload, disorientation, and sleep deprivation does a hell of a lot of damage to your ability to make good decisions. Now, usually fatigue and sleep deprivation is commonly linked to our working lives. And well, you're probably thinking to yourself that, well, why would they want me to be sleep deprived and fatigued? That's totally the opposite of what they'd want an employee to be. Well, you'd be surprised, as there have been cases of companies overworking their employees to the point of sleep deprivation and fatigue. Take the marketing corporation Amway, for example. This company has been accused of depriving its distributors of sleep during weekend-long functions, which feature non-stop lectures running until the early hours of the morning. These said lectures only had brief interludes during which bands play loud music complete with flashing lights. Now, we're all for a good gig and all, but that's the last thing we'd want after a stressful few hours of working when it's our designated break. Anyway, a cult technique sometimes used in conjunction with sleep deprivation involves instructing members to follow special diets containing low amounts of protein and other important nutrients. As a result, the cult members could feel tired and fatigued 24/7, thus making them helpless when it comes to rebelling against leaders and their cult ideology. And that's our list. Did we leave any out that you know about? Let us know in the comments section below. Please remember to subscribe and tap that bell button to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.